Welcome to Stand Up for the USA, the show that celebrates our American liberty and honors the men and women that sacrifice themselves for freedom. We'll explore our American history and get to the truth about what's going on in our country today. And we'll do it with music, comedy, drama, and good old-fashioned storytelling, all from an American artist's perspective. I'm Craig Singleton, your host. As artists, we know as well as anyone what it means to pursue a dream. And that dream of being a musician, like I had as a child, or a dancer or a painter, is the same as being a philosopher or a doctor, a carpenter or a farmer. Whatever dream you strive for, none of it is possible without our American liberties. And it's our U.S. Constitution that guarantees those liberties. So let's get busy standing up for our country, standing up for our freedom, and let's have some fun in the process. We're going to kick off today's show with an incredible story of the day, one that gets to the truth of how words are being used to manipulate the American citizen into giving up our God-given rights as guaranteed by our U.S. Constitution. On September 1st, 2022, set against a backdrop of blood red, we witnessed a terrifying but revealing look at the real agenda of King Biden and his comrades. He dares to embrace the true sacrifices of our founding fathers as a cloak for his treachery and attacks against us, the American citizen. He praises himself and exalts his new democracy again and again. Yet only once does he mention the Constitution of the United States of America. The truth is that the U.S. Constitution guarantees our rights as given us by God, not by any dictatorial politician that thinks he can replace the U.S. Constitution with his vision of a democracy. He clearly laid out his version of what this new democracy will look like, and he stated his policy and process as to how he will achieve it. It's really quite simple if you actually listen to what he said and then compare it to what he does. He will deny all responsibility for the mess our country is in. And he will blame the mess on the American citizens that do not support his anti-American policies. He defines his new democracy as a glorious mixture of old-school totalitarianism, made up of the 20th century's evil empires of Germany and the Soviet Union, with a good mix of today's greatest enemy, the Chinese Communist Party. Let's take a closer look. Is Joe Biden really so stupid that he thinks this country is a democracy? Because it's not. It never has been. And we better pray that it never becomes one. It's the last thing any sane person with understanding of history and failed governments would want. Because with democracy comes anarchy, mob rule, the destruction and theft of personal property, the end to any personal rights, due process under the law, and the end to any hope for a fair trial. The abandonment of decency and morality comes with democracy as well. Even lynchings and mass murder. Democracy is also used as a battering ram by the fascist communists when they organize mobs to terrorize law-abiding citizens. These organized mobs of thugs go by many names. In the 1900s, they called themselves the Brown Shirts or the Gestapo. Today, they use names to disguise their true intent. Names like Antifa and Black Lives Matter. Whatever deceitful name they go by, their goal is the same: to create anarchy and terrorize law-abiding citizens. They bully you on the streets, shout you down with profanity and beat you if you dare speak your opinion. They will burn down your homes, your businesses, or murder you if you dare to resist them. And then they call you a fascist. As the Democrats did when they orchestrated over 500 riots across the country in 2020. Let's be very clear here. The anarchists and criminals that perpetrated those 500 riots and committed those crimes were enabled by the Democrats. Biden called his speech a policy speech. In fact, it was. Now, before you jump on me and say, nah, that was just politics, just hear me out. His policy is clear. It's a two-part plan with a clear objective. The first part is a policy of big lies and deception aimed at the ignorant hoodwinked folks that believe him. The ones that drink the Kool-Aid and take their meds every day like good little comrades. And here's part two of his plan. He will intimidate and threaten American citizens of the USA into submission. And he will use the FBI, the State Department, and the illegal fourth branch of government I call the bureaucratic state to do it. He will even use biological warfare and acts of terrorism to force the American citizens to submit to him and the communists he leads. He will demand we kowtow to his Kingly Edicts and his unconstitutional tyranny, all in the name of his special kind of democracy. He will continue to attack our history and to steal our rights as given to us by God and guaranteed by our Constitution. And he will continue to lie to the ignorant Americans that this country is a democracy, and he will be the one that defines that democracy if we let him. But our founding fathers were way too smart to form a democracy. They created a constitutional republic, not a democracy, specifically because they knew we needed a system of checks and balances that would stop an anti-American traitor and tyrant exactly like Biden. A tyrant and criminal who thinks he's a king. Biden is an idiot and does not even understand the basic American government, or he is a bold and talented liar. And he believes you are so stupid that you will believe him if he keeps repeating the same big lie, as Hitler practiced when he was coming to power. I believe Biden is both a liar and a traitor. I know you patriots out there are thinking, no way, what about our Constitution? And you're right. According to the U.S. Constitution, Biden has no authority to do the things he's doing. Unfortunately, King Biden has already demonstrated that he will simply ignore the U.S. Constitution and the courts if they do not abide to his tyrannical rule. Even some cowardly Republicans have given in to calling our country a democracy and are supporting the communist system King Biden is establishing. One thing's for sure, he studied Mein Kampf and implemented one of Hitler's main concepts. Yes, it was Hitler's personal Bible, Mein Kampf, that laid out the magic bullet of his propaganda machine, which brought his Socialist Democratic Party to power. No different from what Biden did in 2020 to fool people into voting for him. It's no accident that today's Democrats call themselves the Socialist Democratic Party, the same name as Hitler's political party. Come on, folks. Biden has embraced Hitler's rule that the bigger the lie, the more often you repeat it, the more readily it will be believed. Here is the psychological profile of Hitler as written by the OSS, an American organization, during World War II. It was written in reference to Hitler's use of the big lie. Quote, his primary rules were, never allow the public to cool off. Never admit a fault or wrong. Never concede that there may be some good in your enemy. Never leave room for alternatives. Never accept blame. Concentrate on one enemy at a time and blame him for everything that goes wrong. People will believe a big lie sooner than a little one. And if you repeat it frequently enough, people will sooner or later believe it. Sound familiar? Because it is. This is the game plan of the King-Biden regime. And you heard a well-crafted soliloquy written by disciples of the communist manifestos and masters of the big lie to distract you from the Biden policy disasters and focus your eyes on the so-called enemy of the state, the enemy of our democracy. King Biden's speech last night was a clear signal that they are moving into the final stages of their attacks on our citizens and our Constitution as a part of their communist long-game plan to destroy the USA from within. This has been their blissful dream since the late 1800s. Why? Because the USA is proof that our system of individual freedom and free market economic system is a success. And our success is in the way of their pursuit of personal power and ultimate world domination. So what can we do? We can demand our representatives and our judges stand up for our Constitution and the rule of law, because the answers to surviving this internal attack on our country are found in the U.S. Constitution. And these anti-American politicians and their foolish followers know it. That's why they insist on calling our country a democracy, when in fact it is a constitutional republic and the greatest nation on earth. To hear the full version of this show, please go to our website at Stand Up for the USA and sign up for our Patriot newsletter, and you'll get a 30-day free pass to our premier online product. Only available to our patrons. You'll get full-length episodes and video excerpts of this show, as well as our roundtable discussions with special guests, and you can call into the live broadcast and join in the conversation. You'll also get special music performances and interviews with some of the finest musicians in the country, as well as our hysterical new comedy shows. And we'll get you the information you need to get involved and help save our country. And please like, share, and follow this show. It really helps us get the word out. Thanks again for listening to the show that stands up for the USA.